Thank you guys for tuning in to another segment of the Sit Down with Malik Wright presented by First Star Logistics. On this segment, I want to discuss Jon Jones. And I have a question for you, Daniel, and for the audience as well, the people that are watching. We appreciate you guys too. What is Jon Jones's legacy? What is Jon Jones's true legacy going to be? You know, some people call him the GOAT, which I have for years, right? Obviously, one of the most gifted mixed martial artists that we've seen. Some people think his career is tainted due to the substance, which he got suspended for, the banned substance by USADA. And USADA has its own flaws and all that kind of stuff like that. But I question a little bit. No doubt, Jon Jones in his heyday, early in his career, he was a beast. He was an absolute killer, beating the likes of Lyoto Machida, Shogun Rua, so many other people he's beaten. The names of the light heavyweight division. You talk about clearing out division. That is what Jon Jones did. He cleared out the entire light heavyweight division and got to a point where he had to fight the new crop of guys in the light heavyweight division. And albeit those victories got closer and closer, right? Against Anthony Lionheart Smith. Those victories got closer and closer and closer against Dominic Reyes. To the point where Jon Jones said, you know what? This might be too much for me. It's time to make a move to heavyweight. But I'll tell you what I have an issue with, Daniel. It's not Jon Jones. It's what he did, how he made the move to heavyweight. Let's talk about that. To me, he cherry-picked. He waited for the right opportunity. He saw Francis Ngannou was too big of a threat and said, Remember, he said on the sideline, he said, I need more money. Because he realized the big risk. He realized that Francis Ngannou could knock him out cold. Now, I think Jon Jones made a bigger threat of Francis Ngannou than what he actually was to his legacy. Because I think Jon Jones had the wrestling advantage, takes Francis Ngannou down, submits Francis Ngannou, or just wins via ground and pound. I think that's a victory for him. But to me, I think he made more of Francis Ngannou than what was actually there. But to me, that also speaks to Jon Jones's lack of belief in himself. Yeah, which is why he waited until Francis left, and then he jumped at the opportunity to fight Cyril Gane, which he clearly had an advantage over in the wrestling department, and won that fight easily in the first round. Now you got Jon Jones saying he's not willing to fight anybody else except for Stipe Miocic. I'm not sure if you saw Stipe Miocic walk into UFC 295 with a limp. This is the last guy. This is the last time we saw this guy, Stipe Miocic. He got knocked out cold by Francis Ngannou. We haven't seen him since. He hasn't done anything to warrant a heavyweight title shot, but yet and still he's getting it. Both of these guys have made it very clear this is their last fight. To me, Jon Jones, your legacy has been tainted from your suspension from USADA. Your legacy has been tainted by your bogus move to the heavyweight division. What can you do to restore your legacy? Well, I have the answer for you. You have got to fight Tom Aspinall. You got to fight Tom Aspinall. It doesn't matter if you plan to stick around or not, but you got to fight Tom Aspinall. If you want to rectify the mistakes that have been made in your career, from the suspensions and the stuff outside of the octagon, things that have tainted your legacy, I feel like you have a golden opportunity to restore it by fighting Tom Aspinall. It also proves that you're not afraid to take on the big scary guys at the heavyweight division. Because guess what? I'll tell you right now what the storyline is. The storyline is Jon Jones left the light heavyweight division not because he couldn't make weight. Of course he can make weight. That's his natural weight. He could make weight. The storyline is the guys were too fast for you. The guys were getting too skilled for you. Could you imagine Jon Jones versus Alex Poatan? Could you imagine that? Scary sight. Jon Jones versus Jan Blachowicz. That's a tough fight for Jon Jones as well. The fact of the matter is, Tom Aspinall might be your ticket to restoration. Nobody's talking enough about that. And you might say to yourself, oh, Jon Jones doesn't need that. Well, he might. He actually might. Because I have a funny belief that the sport might forget Jon Jones more than they'll remember Jon Jones for the good. Because I think he's done more to hurt his legacy recently than he has done help. In my honest opinion. And I see my co-host right here. You're squirming in your chair there a little bit. And I'm sure you have some thoughts. And I'll let you speak those thoughts. And I'll tell you why I say what I said. But go ahead.
Like, I think the issue with what you said is I don't think that people are going to forget the Jon Jones. Like, so real quick, what do you mean by forgetting?
No,
like, I don't think people are going to forget the Jon Jones legacy. He is considered the GOAT of mixed martial arts right now. He is considered the GOAT of the UFC. And if he does this, fights Stipe Miocic and goes out, he will not be forgotten as the MMA GOAT. The other discussion, though, is, okay, his tail end of his career wasn't as legit as it could have been. And I think that's real to talk about, right? His move to heavyweight, his fight with Cyril Gane, and even him avoiding the Tom Aspinall and Sergey Pavlovich of the world. I'm agreeing with you. He knows what's smart. He knows that fight isn't necessarily in his favor. These guys are young. He's been on record saying these young guys, they're a new crop. So my whole point is Jon Jones, I respect him for being smart, but I would respect him even more if he went out there, took on an Aspinall, and went out and beat him. I just don't think that fight suits him well. And he knows, like, the last thing I'll point to is he went into the fights with the Leo Machida. He went into those fights with Alexander Gustafsson. And he knew during those fights, I'm losing this fight. He's been on record saying, damn, I could have lost. That fight was very close. So if those fights were close, he understands the Tom Aspinalls of the world. And I think in Jon Jones' mind, he knows that fight wouldn't go very well.
Okay, let's talk about it more. My thought process is behind what I'm saying is the stigma behind Jon Jones's last fight at light heavyweight was that he lost to Dominic Reyes.
Yep.
Dominic Reyes got robbed. And Dominic Reyes, his career has never been the same since then, to be fair. He moved up to heavyweight because it was viewed as an easier mountain for him to tackle. This is before Tom Aspinall burst on the scene. This is before Sergey Pavlovich bursted on the scene. This is back when the top two heavyweights was Stipe Miocic, Francis Ngannou. Daniel Cormier was retired, basically. Right? It was an easier mountain for him to climb. He never had any intention on fighting Francis Ngannou. I genuinely believe that. But for me, the reason why I can make that statement that people might forget, because Stipe Miocic is forgotten about. Stipe Miocic is forgotten about. Stipe Miocic was brought back from the depths because of a Jon Jones. But Stipe Miocic could never fight in the UFC again. People wouldn't care. Not a needle mover. Not a needle mover. So what I'm saying is people knew Jon Jones was going to beat Cyril Gane. It was just a matter of how quickly he was going to beat him, which is why Vegas favored him as what they did, right? I think it's one of those situations, though, when we look at it. If Jon Jones wants to solidify his legacy, I think fighting a guy, I'm not even asking you to take on Sergey Pavlovich. I'm asking you to fight a guy that is considered the next, well, maybe not from everyone else, because everybody else thought Sergey Pavlovich was going to win, but in my eyes, viewed as the next heavyweight great. And I think that we gave Stipe Miocic that heavyweight, well, we didn't give that. Dana White gave him that greatest heavyweight of all time moniker, and I don't really think he deserved that personally. Tom Aspinall has the ability to do something really, really special. And I think that while Jon Jones is still active, see, I'm not asking the guy to come out of retirement. I'm saying, Jon Jones, while you're still active and you consider yourself the GOAT, fight someone who has clearly surprised a lot of people, who has turned a lot of heads. You fight somebody that is clearly deserving of sharing the octagon with you, a young, hungry, up-and-coming guy. And if you lose your O, right? I mean, you have one loss, but it wasn't a loss. But if you lose your O because you lose to Tom Aspinall, everyone will say, goddamn, Jon Jones dared to be great. Jon Jones gave this kid a chance. Jon Jones tested himself up against a young, hungry lion. It's great what Tom Aspinall said. Hey, Jon, I have a lot of respect for you, but give me a chance to make my dream fight a reality. To me, that's the biggest fight. I really don't think Jon Jones, Stipe Miocic does what Jon Jones thinks he's going to do. I don't think it's going to do what he thinks it's going to do. And to be honest with you, Stipe Miocic isn't deserving of a title shot.
Yeah.
Listen, what happens in any other division when a guy is a champion, right? And then a guy is an interim champion. The next ideal fight is interim champion versus legitimate champion. And what is the hopes of that fight? To unify the belt. Jon, if you don't take the fight with Tom Aspinall, make no mistake about it, it signifies one thing. You don't think you can beat Tom Aspinall.
Yeah.
That's what that signifies. You don't believe in your heart, Jon Jones. You can beat Tom Aspinall. If you did, you would have taken the fight. And you wouldn't think twice about it. The same way you didn't think twice about fighting Cyril Gane. You fighting Stipe Miocic and you beating Stipe Miocic, right? That's expected. It's a step back. The guy, Francis Ngannou, starts Stipe Miocic. It's a step back, John. So if you don't take the fight with Tom Aspinall, I don't think MMA fans will remember you as this fearless guy. I think MMA fans will remember you as a coward. I do. You ran from the light heavyweight division. You ran from Francis Ngannou. And if you don't take the fight with Tom Aspinall, you ran from Tom Aspinall. You ran from the ability to be great. Very curious to hear what you guys' thoughts are. Want to hear what you guys' thoughts are in the comment section. If you like more video content like this, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live.